Hey, how's it going, everybody? So I've gotten quite a few requests to talk about comedians and comedy and the ones I enjoy, and even if I hadn't gotten those requests, it doesn't fucking matter. I can just make it up. This is YouTube. I could say anybody requested any number of topics I like, and you guys have to believe me. You don't have any other choice. I guess that's the way the game is played on the internet. If you enjoy this video, leave a thumbs up, but don't actually click the thumbs up button. I'm going for a more genuine approach. Just hold the thumbs up towards the screen. I appreciate that a lot more, and I can see it. I can't really see it, and if I could, you'd probably press charges. But anyway, now I'm just going down a tangent to nowhere quick. So, into the comedy topic for today, I want to talk a little bit first about, my perception of comedy and why I think it's valuable and why I have so much respect for it as an art form. And then after that, I guess I'll kind of start parsing through the different kinds of comedy and different kinds of comedians that I enjoy based on what kind of mood I'm in. So I guess first and foremost, I have a lot of respect for comedy as an art form because it's really the only true art form where it's just you and one person. It really is. It's a storyteller. He's a professional storyteller. If you look at it, if you watch a movie, if you listen to music, if you see a painting, those are all things that are done beforehand. And so the artist can stand back and show you their work. With comedy, it's a constant evolution. They never get to just, well, of course they have their pre-recorded specials, but it's live every time. They always are having to work with that energy of the people. And so for that reason, every comedy bit and every way that the audience can react is unique, Additionally, I enjoy how laughter is almost like a surrender of sorts. It's a visceral reaction. You don't control it, but making someone laugh, it makes you feel good. That's what I enjoy a lot about life. One of the things I enjoy the most in life is making people laugh. Is there a tangible, like, monetary benefit to it? No, there's not. But I just get a swelling, and it's good for its own sake, and you enjoy it. I'm butchering pretty much the basic sentiment that Christopher Hitchens said a while back. God bless his soul. But anywho, in addition to that, I like comedians who know how to walk the line between really offensive, just shock value, stupid content, and really lame, pandering, appease everybody, let's say something kind of offensive to get everybody on my side kind of humor. I guess an example of the latter right there would be like Daniel Tosh, someone who makes jokes about things and tries to be offensive to get under your skin, and there's really not too much subtext there. And an example of someone who makes a joke that would be perceived as lewd, but there really is subtext there, could be someone like George Carlin, who's talking about, something as disgusting as rape. But when you look at the joke and you realize the context of it, it's really a deeper purpose. It's meant to pull you out of a situation and look with new sight at this awful situation of rape that happens in society. The whole point is to take you out of your cultural zeitgeist and to force you to be head on with something that you're uncomfortable with, and that's why people get offended. Offense is taken, not given. People get offended when they're presented with something that's uncomfortable, and that's why I guess I have so much respect for a lot of comedians, is because their occupation is trying to present uncomfortable things to people and have those people pay you to have those things presented to them. And so, once again, there aren't that many comedians like that. Most of them are pandering idiots who couldn't string together an intelligible joke if it literally came up and sat on their cock or vagina. I don't discriminate with comedians. There are a couple funny women comedians out there. Can't think of them now, though. Anywho, that's all I have to say about that. That was a bit of a rambling bit of nonsense. So I guess I'll talk a little bit now about what specific comedians I like. And now I'm just going to parse through and say there are three different kinds. The first kind are the ones that I listen to when I'm trying to garner some sort of knowledge, or I really just want to be intrigued by something, or hear a perspective that's not similar to my own, or just get new insight into something. A good example of comedians like that I enjoy would be George Carlin and Bill Hicks. If you don't know who Bill Hicks or George Carlin are, I highly suggest that you search them. They both have very strange styles. Oh, not strange styles. George Carlin doesn't have a strange style of comedy, but at times Bill Hicks does, where he'll just yell at the audience, and you can tell the audience will get very, very uncomfortable. And I like that. I like that in the video, not because I'm one of those weird, assholes who gets off and thinks it's funny when other people are making others awkward. It's because, you can tell with a comedian like Bill Hicks that he really does care what he's saying. He's not just doing it to be funny and make money like Daniel Tosh or Mind Demencia or some of that bullshit. He's doing it because he wants to titillate your senses and your mind and make you think. And before you even go watch these people, I need to stress that I really don't agree with them on everything. There are a shit ton of things that I watch for all these comedians I'm going to list that I disagree with. But the point is that by being made uncomfortable and having my ideas questioned by them, I've been able to hone my ideas even more. Because if you're willing to be honest and you sit down and you watch a comedy special or something like that, if the comedian is good, when you sit there and you get offended, if you don't take the intrinsic visceral reaction of anger, be like, oh, that asshole douche, I hate him, and you just sit there and say, man, that was offensive to me, but why was it offensive? Then you can kind of utilize what I think the comedian is going for and starting to see what it was that offended you and what the subtext is and why that's important, why they were trying to present it to you in their act. Next, the next kind of comedian is a little bit less serious. They can still have some good nuggets of wisdom every so often, but for the most part, it's more about comedy. And that would be people like Louis C.K., Brian Regan. I like Bill Burr. I've just found him recently. I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but he's been pretty funny. And Doug Stanhope. You know, they have some good nuggets of wisdom, but for the most part, it's just for being funny. And I will admit that some of these guys that I just listed, especially Louis C.K., some of the jokes he says, you know, I think he's funny. I think he's really funny. But at the same time, a lot of the jokes he says, I feel like he tries to just be really offensive for the sake of being offensive instead of trying to, you know, point something out. Which is fine every once in a while, you know, to each their own with their point of view and their humor because, hell, who am I to tell someone else that their choice and what they choose to laugh at is wrong? That's silly. I don't have any moral high ground there. I don't pretend to. So that's one thing I've noticed about Louis C.K. recently, but for the most part I like him. Is it Louis C.K.? I don't know. And finally are the political kind of humorists, you know, like Stephen Colbert, Bill Maher, Jon Stewart. Of these three, if you are conservative at all, I'd advise you not to watch Bill Maher because I'll even admit I'm a pretty liberal guy, and Bill Maher is so liberal it's just ridiculous. You know, he takes stances that I disagree with sometimes and all that. And that's why people tend to get offended by him is because he's way more blunt. What's funny is that so many people think that Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart and them are hilarious. And a lot of my friends are conservatives who think that they are enjoying Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert when in actuality they don't realize that they're literally lambasting Fox News and conservatives and Tea Partiers and Republicans the whole goddamn show. And so I guess that's what I think is funny about the third kind of subsection of comedians, to me, the political commentators, because it seems like the most successful ones, Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, they're the ones who tons of their audience are so dumb they don't even realize they're the ones being made fun of. That doesn't really have anything to do with anything, just kind of makes me laugh. So I guess that's all I have to say about this for now. If you enjoyed the video, leave a rating once again, but do it in the form of just holding your thumb towards the screen, because it means a lot and it's personal. That's the end. If you have a good comedian that you enjoy, leave it in the comments section. Or if you are a comedian, type me a joke. You know, if I laugh, I'll give you a shout out. Just kidding. All right, goodbye. Love you.